it turns out to be like making a lot of excuses for other people. Like, well, they're jealous, or maybe it brings out their insecurities, or maybe they're just uncomfortable.
Do you ever feel like stepping in and like, I don't know,
Wait,
I'm gonna go to the school and have a talk with so-and-so, but try
Yeah,
not
I've
to
done
get
that.
She's ready to.
Of course. I've
Denise
done that.
is ready to pull.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. This is Ebony.
And Denise.
And we are back with another podcast for you guys, the TEAM2MOMS, the podcast. We hope you've been enjoying the podcast and enjoying seeing these discussions. And we hope that you can please continue to comment and let us know what you've been thinking.
So as you know, we wanted to create a safe space where people over 30 could come together and talk about things affecting our lives. Parenting, relationships, marriage, content creation, career paths, and everything in between. Because age is just a number. And honestly, life really begins after you turn 30.
Ooh, say it again. Yeah. Yes, it can. Yes, it does. Today's guest is someone who we're so excited to have. We honestly couldn't think of a better person to help us talk about raising an influencer. Not only is this guest raising an influencer, she's a mom of 3, a PR and marketing expert, and also has a platform of her own on TikTok and Instagram. Please help us welcome Sarah Zeiler.
Thank you.
Thank you again so much, Sarah, for joining us. This is our first time meeting,
It is.
but I know we have so much in common because we're both moms.
Yes.
We have children on the internet, and we're going to have a great discussion. But first, we want to play a little game called...
What we learned from our kids this week.
So, what have you learned from your daughter this week?
Well, I have 3. Well, I don't want to take it heavy right away, but I think what I've learned, it's only Wednesday, by the way. So I think that we brought it up a few minutes ago, I think the biggest thing I learned or I was reminded of this week is that it's okay to have bad days.
Ooh,
And that it's okay for us to let our kids sit in their bad days and not try to give them 8 hours of advice or coach them or cheerlead or like try to hype them up or shift their mood, because it's important to know you can get yourself out of a bad day. And that was the first thing that came to mind.
Okay, so I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
You know, our daughter is 11. How old is your children?
My kids are, I have twin 17-year-old boys and a 19-year-old daughter.
Oh, you have twins.
I have twins. Yeah.
Wait a
We have
minute.
twins too.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Our lives are parallel.
We have
How
twin-
old are your twins?
We have twin boys, and they just turned 6.
Okay.
And we have our daughter who's 11.
Okay. So
What?
same mix up.
Yes. Oh, we
Mash
gonna,
up.
we gonna have a good discussion.
Right.
Oh, this is
Yes.
gonna be fun. But
Yes.
something we learned, well, I learned this week from my daughter, a little bit more. She's 11. She's really into trends. And there's this particular dance on TikTok. So I just learned this TikTok dance with my daughter, and we did it
Nice.
together. And she was the choreographer and taught me how to do it.
Are you usually the one teaching her?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
this is
How
brand new.
fun.
Yeah, like she's really emerging. and
Yeah.
going into her own paths and looking at stuff and wanting to do things,
Right.
you know, her way.
I feel like she's 11 going on 20. I
Yes.
always say that.
Yes, I feel that. I feel that.
Oh my gracious. Okay, so let's go to the very, very beginning.
Okay.
So when your daughter started on TikTok and you started to see her numbers grow, from a mom perspective, how did you feel? How did you react? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you supportive? Tell us the whole beginnings.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah.
And probably really naive. I
Ooh,
was
get into
thinking
it.
about this, before meeting you, and just what I've learned from that, what I learned from that, and what I could offer others is that, being a parent is this combination of knowing what you're doing and learning as you go, and also meeting your kid where they are. And I think there was some of that not happening maybe leading up to to Ellie really, getting into social media. It definitely took us by surprise. And I say that like it was surprising, but it wasn't shocking because She had already been making YouTube videos for many years. She was really into filmmaking, loved editing things. She would make like music videos and vlogs, and she was very creative, went to film classes and camps, and that was her path. And then she was on TV. She was on a kids cooking show on Food Network years ago. And so she was interested in media.
Nice.
But when this happened, TikTok was the thing I was like completely naive to and unaware of. In fact, I was totally anti-TikTok because I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, no way, you're not adding another voyeuristic app where you stare at other people doing stuff. Like, if you want to make the TikToks, then okay, but you don't have time for that. You play basketball and you school and all this stuff. She was checking all the boxes. Her volunteer work, she had a nonprofit, she was like typical, under pressure to be the perfect high school student. And we were a week into quarantine, and this was before we were all hiding from everyone. We were with friends, and she was like, Mom, we're going to make TikToks. And I'm like, yeah, have at it. I didn't care, but she was just letting us, my kids were just mentioning it. And that's pretty much what happened. She posted one and it did well, and then she posted another and it did better, and then she posted again, and then it just caught on. And there was a whole story behind how and why that happened, and that might have made it even more scary, but I think that it was all super fun and exciting, and I was like totally there for it. Well, I had nothing else to do, by the way, too. We were all just sitting on our phones and binging on shows, and so we were just like watching the numbers, and it was super exciting. And I'll tell you, it happened pretty quickly that she started getting calls from companies and agencies, and we were like, whoa,
slow down.
This is crazy.
Pump the brakes.
We had no idea that what was to come, but also what the possibilities were. I would say that once we saw at first it was all fun, and then there's hate, and there's mean, and then there's stuff with friends and the people you actually know, and they're figuring it out and you're figuring it out. It was like high anxiety and adrenaline all mixed together.
So with that, has there ever been a time where she didn't want to record or did not want to put on a face for the camera? I know as parents, we know we sometimes deal with that with our daughter. Like sometimes she's just like, not today.
Totally.
So it's really hard. So how do you
It's so interesting you ask it and you say that, because we were like, oh, it's so easy. Just post.
Okay.
You should post about this. That's the biggest thing I always talk about, regretting. And it's why I got on TikTok. It wasn't because I had any particular thing I wanted to talk about or share. Correct. At first, I realized a couple months in that I needed to do it to understand how hard it was, or to understand it in general. Because we would all, and it wasn't just, my husband and I, it was everybody that knew Ellie. They were like, you should post about this, and you should make a TikTok about this, and you should make a video about this, and, why don't you talk about and share your whole everything. And kind of back to what I said about being a certain type of person to do this. And this is just in my experience so far. I've met quite a few creators. They're pretty private people, surprisingly, right? They're not the most outgoing. They're not the most socially extroverted. And that was my kid. She was like very private, very guarded, very not one to just tell you everything. She was strong girl. And
that's good. That means she knows how to set boundaries.
Totally. No, totally. And her boundaries were set on social media, and they still are in most ways. And that's something that I respect and also have questioned, and I wish I hadn't, but we've been learning too. But my point is that to answer your question, this is hard, and she'll say I'm not always feeling my best, especially when you get into the years that she started when she was 16. It's very much about your appearance and what you're wearing and what you're, you know, all of that. They grow up so quickly. They have so much exposure to makeup and, you know, all of it, fashion and the pressure to, you know, look perfect. And she's like, I'm not feeling it, or my skin feels bad, or I'm in a bad mood, or I'm tired, or I just don't have anything I want to share today, even if it's just a dance, even if it's just a quick, you know, trending TikTok. She's just like, I'm not into it. And I think we have to trust that it's definitely a marathon.
What does she do to escape for like mental health? Like, does she like want to like
her turn off?
Yeah,
right?
what is her turn
what
off?
What does she do off the internet?
Yeah.
I mean, she spends time with us, with her
That's
family.
great. That's the support. The
That's
support
what she
is what
would
counts.
say.
Exactly.
Yeah, she spends time with us, and she gets back home and really turns it off and just remembers where she came from.
No, absolutely. And you had, you know, you mentioned to us that she started at the age of 16. You know, already when you're around that age group, you're in high school, and then you add the layer of social media. You know, as the parent, as the mom, how did you help her navigate that world?
I think that just as you were saying that, the importance, it made me think of just how isolated, like here you are, you're on social media, and people will say to you, someone just said it to her yesterday on a call, you have 10 million people or more that all love you. And she's like, huh? Like, that's not even real, first of all. Also, it's the most isolating feeling to think of it that way.
Correct.
I think there were a lot of ways that I think we had to help, and we wanted to help and stepped in to help. And first of all, the number one thing is to remember that when somebody says something mean, it's not about you. And it goes for the internet and everywhere else in life. Like if somebody's rude, if somebody says something cruel, if somebody leaves you a mean comment, they DM something hateful, it is not about you. That is a very difficult message to get through to a kid. It's a difficult one for an adult to accept. I don't know if you've ever experienced people saying things.
We have.
And
we definitely have.
It's so crazy because you immediately get so defensive and so vulnerable.
And it could be 1 out of 100 comments.
1,000%.
But that one comment will stick out.
Comment can just sting at your spirit, and you're like, okay, how do I navigate through this? Do I respond directly? Do I not respond? Do I ignore it? And then you have to try to figure out, well, how do I ignore it? Because that you still feel that sting in your spirit where you just want to,
totally.
And we've been on social media for quite some time, and we always say we've developed a thick skull for this over time. It was like through experience. You know?
Is. But
that's us as adults. But now, since we are family creators, we have our children. And now our daughter is at the age where she's reading the comments. She's discovering a whole different side of social media. And that's why I asked you for that advice. Like, what are you telling your daughter, like, to help her? And you said something very interesting, and it was off camera. We're going to bring it on camera. Where you said that it's okay to allow your child to sit in their feelings. Expand on that.
I think that we now are in a world where we can just switch from thought to looking at something. We don't ever really think long and hard about things anymore, particularly our kids. They don't have the muscle memory in their brain to sit with long thoughts and feel through something. And it's really important to help them and guide them into doing that and to understanding that it's okay to feel something. And if something makes you feel bad from your social media or your work or something in a comment, I mean, it's tricky because just in talking about it, I'm thinking, yes, you have to be thick-skinned and you have to just let it roll off your back and, it's on them, it's not me, it's all them. And that creates this like real toughness, but it also creates something where you become almost like the boundaries, the wall is so thick that you're almost untouchable. And you wonder if you can feel real stuff too.
Yes.
And I think that's the balance you have to really work on is feeling what's real, not indulging the stuff that doesn't serve you, that you can't do anything about. And that's a tough juggle for a young person who's still developing.
Yes, that is so true. Do you have like any mom groups of other moms with kids in the influencer world? Like, how does that?
It's so funny.
Do you trade tips?
I thought you'd ask me that. Yeah, I thought. Well, you can call me anytime because I'm always looking for more, and I'm here to help. This is my favorite. It is my favorite thing to talk about.
That's great.
I feel like I've learned so much, and there's something that really we don't talk about what it's like, and ironically. Do you know that if you surveyed, I mean, not every kid, but like they say, the studies show that if you surveyed young people, you would see that 60% of kids wish they could be or would like to be influencers because I mean this is what they're seeing the majority of their time.
Seeing, all around them.
And very little is. I'm so happy you guys are doing this because we're talking. This is a topic that doesn't get discussed. Like, how do I help my kid through this? How do I keep them in check? How do I keep them in reality?
Yes.
How do I teach them that this requires a lot of work?
And for us, there's so much pressure because everything we talk about online is about being moms. And with that comes this thought that we must know the answer to navigate through everything, through every situation, when really there's a lot that we haven't experienced yet, just based off of the fact that our kids are still very young and
we're learning.
We're learning as we're going. So what is your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts.
I want to hear them all. Share them.
There's going to be, and I don't know that you're quite there yet. I think you might be with your 11-year-old, where you're going to be able to explain to your kids that you're a person, and that you are learning, and that you've never done this before, and that you are in a relationship with them, and you're not always going to get it right, and it's just as important for our kids to show us some grace and to some patience and to understand that we're not perfect and that we don't necessarily know it all. First of all, I think to me that does two things. First of all, it lets them understand that you're trying and that you're going to make mistakes and they're not going to be hugely disappointed or they're going to get it. The other thing is that it lets them know that they're human too and they can make mistakes and that they've never been a kid before, just like you've never been a mom before and you've never been a mom with your younger kids to them in whatever phase they're going through because they're unique. And so I think that was a big pivotal moment for me when I communicated that to my kids that like we're not going to always have it figured out. And we're doing our very best based with what we knew going in. And like in our case, for my husband and I, we didn't have ideal parenting situations to say the very, very least. And we truly, like being parents is the most important thing that we can do, that we want to do with our lives. And they know that. Our kids really feel that. They also know that we're trying and that sometimes this is all new. Like I've never parented a 19-year-old and however many days old she is today. I haven't done that before. And they get it. And so when you fall apart or you make a mistake or you get it wrong or you regret something, because that's the biggest part is you're going to be like, oh, I should have done that. Own it. Say, I tried something and it didn't work or I was wrong. It allows them to know they can be wrong too.
Because they teach you as well, right, as you go.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think it's important. You had actually touched upon this. You said that, Ellie will express to you sometimes when she's not in it. And I think the fact that she's expressing it to you speaks volumes in the relationship that you have with your children, that they know that they can communicate with their parents about anything. So
a lot of kids don't have that too.
Well, that goes back to the idea that you've got it all figured out, because if you're like, I don't feel it today either, or I'm having a rough day, I don't know about you, but I get nervous that if I show like any form of weakness, laziness, unmotivation, you name it, that for some reason that's I'm going to be a bad example, and that's like their ticket to ride, and they can just be lazy for the rest of their life. Yeah. Oh, I saw you didn't do much the other day.
Yeah. Me to do.
I think we have that guilt as well.
We're like, we don't want them. We're all under this pressure to be like machines all day, producing, striving. It's too much.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
And I agree with your opinion. It gets exhausting sometimes.
Does.
And, as parents, we're allowed to unplug and take a break and change. Correct. Oh, my gracious God. But speaking of, with your daughter.
Yes.
My daughter is 11. Your daughter is 16. Now, you would think I have it all figured out because we are the influencers technically on social media. And, we have this certain way of how we've been creating content as adults and how to like kind of protect certain boundaries and put those in place. But now I have an 11-year-old who's like, I want to do my own thing, Mommy.
She wants her own channel.
I want my own channel.
Platform.
I want my own platform. And yes, we want to support that, but I honestly don't know where to begin and how
there's a fear
ease her into that. There's just fear of
what are your fears?
I think the number one fear is keeping her safe and the security aspect of the internet. And again, already she has these layers of the fact that her family looks very different from other families. She's being raised by two moms, and there's so many things that she's never heard in opposition to the type of family that she has. And so I'm just nervous about that aspect of things.
I always say it's like butterflies and rainbows in her head.
Yes.
I have to tell you, I'm really grateful that this did not happen when my daughter was 11 or 12 or 13.
Keep it real. Yeah.
But keep it real is probably what you're going to have to do. And you're going to need to say what you're afraid of. And you're going to need to give her some real information and understanding of what it could look like, and keep your eye really close, and then otherwise set boundaries. I had really clear boundaries when she was younger.
Yes.
And really it wasn't until her 18th birthday I was like, no bathing suits of any kind, no duck lips, no kissing no kissing the screen, none of that stuff. It didn't go. It eventually, you can't control everything.
Correct.
But at that age, that was about the age when I think Ellie just like she had an Instagram account on my phone. So this is now, this was before, it's not even that long ago, but it a lot has changed. And of course, because of what you do. So I would just say have some rules.
Yes.
And then back up the rules. Just explain it. Say, listen, I don't make these. Here are my rules. I don't make the big world rules.
Yes.
But here's what I know to be true. If you're posting like this or you're showing this, I know you're doing it innocently, but unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to look.
Yes.
And you just want to sort of, I'm very open and honest. I try to help my daughter understand what makes, boys tick and explain to my boys the way girls are, like as much as I know. And I think that one thing I've learned, and I learned this from a therapist when my kids were really little. I was a really hardworking mom, had a big career. I was traveling all the time with so much mom guilt. And I remember him saying, like, parenting with confidence is the most important thing you can do. Your kids trust you to know what you're doing and to know and to be honest with them. So if you're confident in your decisions, like I'm confident that you should not post in a bikini. I know why. Here's a little bit why. I don't have to give you all the down and dirty on it, but trust me.
Mom knows best.
And she's still at a good age where she's going to listen. It's not a rebellious stage yet. And thankfully, I would assume you're not. I would hope it and also assume you won't have kids that are rebelling because you're such a close family.
Yes.
Where they draw all their confidence.
Yes.
Yes. And we're talking so much, just to let the audience know, we're talking most about our daughter because she's older and our boys are 6 and they have
I feel like we're learning from Olivia and then bring it on to the boys. And then Olivia's like a third mom, we call her, because like, she's always
Team
telling the
moms.
boys how to do things and what she has experienced and then how they should handle it. So she's a great example.
She's the litmus paper. Like
what grade is she in? What is 11?
She's
is
in 5th
grade.
She'll be in middle school next year.
Yeah, that's a big change too. And so also, how's she doing with her friends at school?
I was about to say that.
That's the big thing.
Because friendships and being famous on the internet is like
I have a thought
hard
on that
to deal with. So how do you navigate that?
But first, Olivia, she struggles. She struggles with the recognition. She struggles when, students in her class recognize who she is on TikTok.
Well, how do they recognize her, but what are they saying?
Right now it's very harmless. It's just like, you're the girl from
that's
she
good.
has one or two where it's like
some is like, do you think you're all that because you're on the internet? So that's starting to emerge. What advice do you have for that?
So it's interesting because Ellie went to high school with a boy who blew up on TikTok her freshman year.
Really?
It happened to her sophomore year, and we were in quarantine 2 weeks in. And so she got to really see what happened with him. And it was rough. Kids were constantly filming him, constantly kind of trying to prank him or set him up or catch him doing something. He got a lot of positive attention for it and negative attention, and again, it can be kind of isolating because you don't know who wants to be friends with you for what.
Correct.
You hope that your closest old-time friends, long-time friends really just still are the same. It's really tough during adolescence, though, because you can't account for what is going on with the other kid and how it's making them feel.
Correct.
It's like your kid, your daughter, my daughter can still feel like the exact same person. All we do, but we make content. That's all we do. It's no big deal. Oh, and I do some brand deals, and I know you notice, but I'm this me. I'm just me being me.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Yes.
But you cannot control that other kids are going to have a hard time with that. And some, maybe they don't care at all. Then that's hard because we've had that happen with us where like really close, longtime family friends, the kids just don't acknowledge it at all. That's weird because she's like, this is a big thing that's happened for my whole life has changed. Everything's different. And this is also just what's going on with me. It doesn't, I don't need it to be a spectacle, but this is my life and you're not checking in on that. And so I think it goes back to just teaching and helping support your kids on how to deal and understand other people. It's hard because it turns out to be like making a lot of excuses for other people. Like, well, they're jealous, or maybe it brings out their insecurities, or maybe they're just uncomfortable.
Do you ever feel like stepping in and like, I don't know, I'm gonna go to the school and have a talk with so and so, but I try not to get to
that.
She's ready of course. Denise is ready to pull.
Yes. I was the pull up mom.
Okay.
A couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
I'm not alone.
This is why I'm loving this conversation.
Your kid, I'm telling you. Like, it does. Well, hold on. It does. It sends a message to your own child that you have their back.
Facts.
And that's what you really want.
Yeah.
We echo that all the time.
Right. At the end of the day, like when your kids are my kids' age, you're going to sit around the table and laugh about when your mom pulled up to the schoolyard and went up to the girl who said something to me and was like, you got to stay away from my daughter.
Yes.
That's cool. But at the time, it's agonizing for your kid.
Man.
And it is embarrassing. But
It is.
there is a message, like
There
even
is.
when they're young, like, I got you. I am here to protect you. That's my job.
Yeah.
And I even take it one step further. I said, I will defend you until I turn blue.
Yeah.
But when we get home and I know you just said, girl, we gonna go at it. We gonna, I said it to all my kids, but out in the public, I got your back. But if it was something I'm gonna tell you when we get back.
But I always be like,
home as
Olivia,
well.
do you want me to go have a talk with your friend? And she's like,
Parents, the friend's parents.
Yeah.
To be
parents, yes.
yes. We don't go up to the children.
Not the
That,
children.
to me, it's like, it sounds good in theory, but now that it's behind me, the elementary, middle school, high school years with a daughter in particular.
Does it get easier?
I mean, it's a whole new different.
different.
It's actually a new level of worry. I think middle school's tough. High school's tough. You're getting into the thick of it right now. I think that the most important thing you can do is keep them close. Teach them that when kids are mean, it's not them. It's the other kid. You never know what's going on in another household. Correct. You don't know what they're being taught. You don't know what the parents are talking about. You don't know what the parents' opinions are. The kids are coming. They're angry for something.
Correct.
The other thing is that kids change and kids grow and kids evolve and kids can be mean this school year and next year. You know, they can be different. Yeah. So don't take it too seriously. It will pass. But specifically when it comes to having, like, for your daughter growing her platform and becoming more known on social media, I would say this is kind of all back to meeting your kid where they are and getting real. Like, we were really like, you have to stay on this track and you're going to college still. We did some college tours and our daughter walked into dorms and she was like, there's no way I can do what I do and live in a dorm. And girls were recording her on the tour, taking pictures. And that's fine. But like, you just feel so scared. And it was a choice. It was like, you got to kind of sometimes pick. And if I don't have a crystal ball, I cannot tell you how it's going to go. But if you feel like it's harder for her to be in that environment, then you have a decision to make. Like, if you want to back off from the work because you want to have a more traditional, journey on the school side, then maybe that's the choice. And if you want to have it all on the internet and you want to do this, then you need to consider options. I think that's realistic, and I think it's what most people are doing now. Like the whole classic path isn't. There's no classic anymore. It's like you do what's right for you. Stay educated. Keep learning. Correct. However you do that, do it your way.
How do you feel about the term momager?
Momager, yeah.
I deem myself sometimes a self-proclaimed momager.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's weird because there can be like negative connotations to it, and that's one thing I always feel nervous about because especially in the entertainment industry, my experience thus far has been that, like, if you're doing the job that there's a professional person doing and they can make you like the hysterical, obsessive, controlling mom. But obviously I have a background that supports what I'm doing. It's only have the best intentions, and I just want to protect her and help guide her to become a whole person, not just a working girl, but a whole human. That's my job. And if your kid is in entertainment and she's a child or they're children and they still need parenting, you just have to do what's right for you and for your kids. So
that's wonderful.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but it's and also the lines can get blurred on the momming and the manager part. That's where the hard stuff comes in. Is like if you don't agree on something or you really want something to happen and the kids like it's like, are they rebelling because I'm their mom? Are they not doing it because I'm their mom asking, or do they just not want to do that particular thing? That's a big challenge.
Because there's definitely a difference from somebody else.
Well, just like if she wants to do what she wants to do on her channels, she should, because she's the one who's got the audience her age, right? Her audience is not your audience.
Correct.
So she knows what's going to work.
Correct.
And I think that has to be respected, and you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes.
In many cases.
Yes.
You have to get comfortable.
But anyway, I don't know if that answered your question.
It definitely did.
1,000%. So what advice, just to parents out there with children who are either already on social media or who wants to be on social media, what advice do you give to the parents in their role in that journey for their child?
My advice, first and foremost, is to understand as much as you can and try as much as you can so you understand it. And also don't reject ideas or reject it. It's there's a lot of judgment from parents about social media. Get off your phone. Social media is not real. And a lot of it is curated and not real. But it's still real in the fact that it is the number one consumed form of media.
Correct.
It's where most dollars are being spent on advertising. And there's a lot of people from young to old making great livings. It's truly a path. As far as, just getting started and it wanting to be, your kid wanting to do it, I would say don't let them quit their school. Don't let them quit their day job, so to speak. Like, you need to really show some longevity and some abilities to do this, and that means consistency. It's a job. As you know, you can't just post once a month because you had a good outfit on and be an influencer.
Yeah.
Correct.
We both had corporate jobs, so like we left that to do this full time. So it is.
So you treat it like your corporate job.
Treat it like now it's our
our kids have never had to do that. They've never worked for somebody else. They've never had to show up on time. They've never had to wake up early or work long days. And so that's where the trick comes in. Is that it's a totally different approach.
Yes.
So you just have to figure it out for them, with them.
Wow, this has
Absolutely.
been a great
This has been a great
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy we got to talk about this. I'm here for you, and you can be here for me too.
I'm now going to be a part of the mom group chat. Okay, please insert my phone number. But before you go, we want to play a little game with you of Would You Rather?
My favorite.
Would you rather be 10 minutes late or 20 minutes early?
And why?
All the time? Forever?
Forever and ever.
Oh, 20 minutes early. I would always rather be early. I had a boss, speaking of corporate world, I had a boss that said if you're on time, you're late. Like if
that is
you
true,
needed
though.
you need to be early, and it stresses me out. Even since I was little, I would cry if I was late for school. It's too stressful.
I agree.
I think we're the same.
We're the same.
are?
I'd rather be early. We're very punctual. We're very routine as well.
Yeah.
So to have a good day, we need to be early.
Yeah.
Sets the
Especially with
tone.
our kids.
It's a little different in California. It took me a while I'm a little later now, but where are you
Really?
from?
Because of the
Where are you
traffic?
guys from again?
Well, we're originally from New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we kind of get the same vibes as LA, but we live in Georgia now, which is
Oh, great.
completely the opposite. You could be late anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Being
kind
late
of how
is being
it
on
is
time.
here. I'm from Chicago and then New York, and I was like always earlier on time, and it's a little more lax now. But I still get freaked out if I'm late. I can't
Right?
stand
The
it.
panic and the anxiety.
Yeah,
So you're like, no.
Even with Ellie, I'm like, we're late. She's like 3 minutes late. I'm like, that sends the wrong message. I know.
I hear you.
Same.
We're the same.
Okay.
All right, to make this more of a rapid fire feel,
Okay.
we're going to have Erica read the questions and we're just going to answer them all out.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. Would you rather lose the ability to read or lose the ability to speak?
Ooh. Lose the ability to read.
Read.
Same.
Read.
Would
Read.
you rather go on tour without John or Cher?
Oh, they're both icons. Both. No, share.
Both. Same.
Yeah, same.
Would you rather be the funniest person in the room or the smartest person in the room?
Smartest.
Funniest. I love being funny. I think it's funny. Just ask me.
Would you rather someone see all photos in your phone or read all of your text messages?
Oh, that's a scandalous
Photos.
question. No
photos. Yeah,
It's all about my
I'm
kids.
old.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
Scandalous on my,
Please don't
in my
see children.
camera roll.
Family photos. Yes.
Would you rather live until you're 200 and look your age, or like your 22 your whole life but die at age 65?
No.
200.
200.
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. She's like, I don't make the question.
Like, wait, not me. Not me.
Would you rather never use social media again or never watch another movie?
Never watch a movie.
Never
I
use...
love social media.
I guess watch a movie.
Never use social media again.
Yeah.
No offense. I know it's your job, but no. Goodbye, social media.
Last one. Would you rather listen to only one song for the rest of your life or watch one movie for the rest of your life?
One movie. The Notebook.
Yeah, I can watch the same movie over
Yeah,
and
I
over.
could watch the same movie over.
Same. What's your movie?
Hers is.
The Notebook.
And
Oh.
I'm a big, scary
You
fanatic, so anything in that genre.
Nice.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed this episode and learned a lot. I know we definitely learned a lot from Sarah. And if they want to be able to find you, Sarah, what is your socials?
Sarah Zeiler on all the apps.
Yes. And if you want to follow us, we are at TEAM2MOMS. With the exception of Twitter being our original name, Olivia has 2 moms.
And if you want to check out this podcast, make sure to check out the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel or anywhere that you listen to your podcast.
And also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.